And welcome back to Lamplight City. We are getting close to the end, but not quite there yet. And full disclosure, I recorded this section last night and I forgot to turn on the gameplay. So all you heard was sound effects, music, and my voice. And you couldn't see any gameplay, so I decided I should probably redo this again. So, if it looks like I know what's going on, is I kind of know what's going on. Alright. Let's talk to Constance.
What is it, Fordham?
Everything all right with you?
Oh, I'm getting by. I expect things will go back to normal once this killer is caught.
I haven't worn out my welcome here yet, have I?
No, you're still tolerable. But when was the last time you washed your hair?
Nasty
to sound like Adelaide.
motherfucker.
About those crime scene sketches.
Yes?
How in the ether were you able to get these sketches out from the department?
I told you they're just duplicates. Snelling installed one of those fancy new Pharaoh duplicators a few months ago. They let you copy any document. Trust me, nobody even noticed that I took the sketches from evidence. I know how to cover my tracks.
I certainly hope so. On second thought, never mind.
Whatever you say.
Yeah.
I should get back to it.
She's confident,
Not
she's
a
cool.
bad idea.
Alright, let's check the paper out. Atwood under fire for alleged cooping scheme. Ooh. Home request has emerged after Hart Leroy's landslide victory against Herbert Atwood. The accusations of a pro-Atwood cooping scheme have emerged. Allegedly, Atwood's campaign hired men to find unsuspecting victims, ply them with alcohol, and then force them to vote multiple times in disguise in order to increase Atwood's chances. Victims were kept in a small room, referred to as a coop, and forced to change clothes several times in order to vote repeatedly. Once they served their purpose, victims were left in back alleys around the city, dazed and confused. Despite the efforts, it was not enough to secure Atwood's victory. The information comes from an alleged leader of a cooping gang who agreed to talk. Since it's for mass murderer, general mood around New Bradante is the caution and fear, especially in Chumley. 4 victims so far have been claimed by the so-called justice killer with no apparent motive or link between them. That's what makes it so frightening, Chumley resident Simon Banks. You have no idea who's going to be next. It's gotten to the point where I stopped sweeping chimneys before sundown. When reached for comment, the New Brigante police offered no new information, but encouraged citizens to remain vigilant. Arrest made in tragic election night murder. Yeah, that's our case. Full life and an avid fan of books and travel. And then Angela Maxwell, our favorite spiritualist from the Spectre Society, she went to jail for fraud. All right, let's get down to the business. Let's check out these pictures.
If only you hadn't told Adelaide about
Oh,
me.
yeah,
I
and
might
if you
share
don't
my
remember-
thoughts with you. As it is, you're on your own.
We told Adelaide about Bill.
What's the point? It's not like you're actually going to be able to investigate this case. Whoever drew this was a hack. That looks more like a piece of toast than a flower.
I don't know if it looks like a piece of toast.
I'm sure this is terribly relevant, but I've got nothing to say about it.
Of course you don't, Bill. You've got nothing to say about anything right now.
I don't feel like looking at dead bodies right now. Is there something more exciting we could be doing?
I could be getting drunk, so I can't hear you.
I don't feel like
Oh,
were
there's
you
a flower,
hoping
though.
For some witty insight? Shame, because you're not getting any.
I wonder what kind of flower that is.
Yeah, he's dead. Big deal. Boring.
Oh, come on, Bill.
I'm really not in the mood to be analyzing crime scene sketches right now.
So we got another flower. There's a fourth flower.
Boring, just like everything else in this sketch.
Interesting.
Oh, what? You actually found something without my help? I'm shocked.
Oh, Bill.
Maybe you should write crazy over your bed. Wait, what's that? I see an important clue. Just kidding.
Fuck off, Bill. Alright, so there's flowers in all the pictures. We need to find out what kind of flowers they are.
What is
Maybe
it,
they're
Fordham?
fucking those lilies.
About those crime scene sketches.
Yes?
I think I found a connection.
I knew you would. What is it?
There's a single flower at each crime scene. They look deliberately placed.
They sure
There
do.
is? Let me have a look. You're right. One lily at each scene.
Wait, what did you say?
These flowers, they're lilies. Easter lilies, I think.
Easter
I don't believe it.
lilies.
Upton, this is incredible. This is the lead
Look at
I've
his
been searching
eyes.
for.
What? You mean for another case?
The flower shop burglar. He was stealing Easter lilies. And I distinctly remember him saying something about his desire to uphold justice.
Yes, he did.
At the time, I thought it was just the rambling of a lunatic, but now it seems so obvious.
So the flower shop burglar is the justice killer?
It seems too much of a coincidence otherwise.
Well, then that's wonderful. You can kill two birds with one stone. Excellent work, Fordham. I knew you could do it.
Yeah.
What exactly are the details regarding this justice killer?
The killings began a few months ago, and so far he's claimed 5 victims. The department wanted to keep this information out of the public eye to prevent a panic, but word has gotten out. On the bright side, it makes your involvement in the case much less suspicious.
What are the details regarding
Yeah,
the
let's
killer's
get the
latest
new guy.
As I mentioned, the victim is Percival McDonough, a member of Parliament.
Parliament.
He was found this morning by his secretary in his office. I expect the official investigation is still underway.
So the killer managed to get into the Houses of Parliament. No easy feat.
You can say that again. It's the killer's first high-profile victim. It means he's getting bolder.
I suppose I'll have to drop by and see for
Boulder.
myself.
And Leon's getting wider.
What can you tell me about the previous victims?
4 men from
Maybe we can tell you what movie that's
Hannibal
from.
Kirkland,
We'll be
Reggie
friends.
Willingham, Ennis Bowditch, and Burley Cause. No known connection between any of them aside from the borough they lived in. I have copies of the police reports from each of the crime scenes. Go ahead and take them.
Thank you, Upton.
Ding. Ding. We have 4 of those?
I should get back
No,
to
just
it.
2.
Not a bad idea.
Right. I think I have enough information to get started. I think I'll begin with...
Odd. I wasn't expecting company.
Uh-oh.
Chief
Uh-oh.
Snelling?
Uh-oh.
Upton, we need to talk. Fordham, I should have guessed I'd find you here.
I live here.
Chief Snelling, aren't you supposed to be out trying to catch the justice killer?
Appropriate that you should bring that up, Fordham. That's precisely why I'm here. Those are some rather interesting decorations. Would either of you care to explain how they got here?
And once again, the jig is up. I hope you can talk your way out of this one, too.
I brought them here. After I made duplicates and took them
She's
to
letting
the
us
police
stay here
department.
rent-free.
Nice try, Fordham, but I know for a fact that isn't true.
Damn it.
The Pharaoh duplicator makes a report of every employee who uses it, as well as what was copied. A rather useful feature for instances such as these. Wouldn't you agree?
These gadgets are going to be the undoing of us all.
In any case, I did some digging and discovered some intriguing information.
Did you now?
Upton, why have you been passing on classified police information to Mr. Fordham?
Because he's the best detective you ever had on the force, and you know it.
Is that right? Personally, I don't consider getting your partner killed the
I
mark
want
of
to
a
see why you
great
gotta bring that
detective.
shit up.
But what's done is done. Constance Upton, your employment with the New Britannia Police Department is hereby terminated.
You can't do that. You're not HR.
I should add that it's only because of your 25 years of dedicated service that I'm not pressing charges against you. But as for you, Fordham, I have enough evidence to place you under arrest for obstruction of justice and interfering with police investigation.
Dude, we solved every
Do
case.
you have anything to say in your defense before I take you in for questioning?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
I do.
I know who the justice killer
Yes,
is.
sir.
Fordham, if this is your idea of a diversion,
It's true. I found a link in the sketches of the crime scenes.
all right, let's hear it then. What do you think you found?
No, not so fast.
I'll tell you if you promise to let me take the case.
Out of the question, Fordham. This is a police matter.
Hey, look how
And
far
the
it's
police
gotten you.
haven't made progress in months.
Yeah.
Fordham figured it out in a matter of minutes. Admit it, Snelling. Fordham is your best shot at finding the killer. Are you gonna let your personal differences put the people of this city in danger?
Fine. I'll let you continue to operate as an assistant in this case, if you have actually found something of value. Now, what is this link?
He leaves a single Easter lily
Sure
at
he
each
does.
crime scene. The same type of flowers the burglar and the chum was stealing.
I see. A tenuous link, but plausible. I'll give you until tomorrow afternoon. If you haven't come up with anything, I'm throwing you in jail.
Sounds fair to me.
And don't get any clever ideas about leaving town either.
Come now, would I do something like that?
Sure.
Fordham, it seems there's no telling what you might do. I'm probably a fool for not clapping you in irons right here and now. When you have something to report, come find me in my office. Don't make me regret this.
Oh, fuck. Upton got fired.
Oh, that went better than I expected.
Except you're still fired. I didn't have a chance to get him to change his mind.
We'll worry about that after you catch the killer. In the meantime, I could use a drink. I'll see you later, Fordham.
She's a boozer.
Well, better get to work then. Clock is ticking.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. We don't really have many choices here, so... Whoa, wait a minute. Find the Justice Killer. Investigate all that stuff. Here we go. Single gunshot. He was an iron worker from Chumley. His work reported him missing. Justice was written. Single gunshot cabbie. Employer filed a missing report. Justice. Nothing related. Single gunshot construction worker. Cabbie construction iron worker. Okay. No justice killer written though. Gunshot. Justice was written. Neighbor reported it. Single gunshot. Lamplighter. Lamplight City, y'all! Alright, let's go check out the current crime scene here. Hey, the doc's here.
Fordham, what brings you to this delightful spectacle?
Hello, Edwards. I'm investigating the Justice Killer. I believe I've got a very promising lead.
I heard an officer mention new orders from Snelling, but I thought he was just pulling my leg.
No.
Feel free to have a look around. I'm just writing up the notes from my initial examination of the body, so I'll be happy to share my findings.
Alright.
Good. I'll just get started then.
Looks pretty fresh. I wonder what the killer uses to write with.
Let's go rifling through his shit first.
Nothing but a bunch of boring documents. You'd think he could have at least been considerate enough to keep something scandalous in here.
Scandalous.
Biographies and autobiographies. Dull, dull, dull. These appear to be books on cryptography. I suppose everyone needs a hobby.
Everybody does.
History books and political theory. I might die of boredom. Again. History books. History books. The former Percival McDonough, being a good politician. The former Percival...
Yeah. Ooh.
Nothing has been written in yet for next month. Curious. Odd. The page for this month has been torn out. Do you suppose Edwards might know anything about that?
Interesting.
Leave it to a politician to hang a portrait of himself in his own office. No signs of forced entry that I can see. The murderer didn't come in through this window.
Alright, Doc.
Got a moment, Edwards?
Of course. What's on your mind?
Dead bodies.
Does it feel good to be out of the office?
As long as I have the chance to examine a body and learn something in the process, I don't care where I am. Though I do admit a preference to
It's
working in my own
strange.
environment. Fieldwork can be a bit uncertain. There's so much more potential for contamination, especially with those clumsy officers trouncing about groping everything. Present company excluded, of course.
So,
What we
what's
got?
found at the crime scene?
Fill us in.
A dead body.
Yeah,
Edwards.
good one.
Hey, just trying to lighten the mood a bit.
Perfect.
Anyway, there was also the word justice written in blood, as you can see on the floor there.
Is that all?
What more do you need? All the pieces are in place. This is the work of the justice killer.
Justice.
What did your examination of the body turn up?
Apparent cause of death was a single gunshot to the head, exactly like all the other victims.
Okay.
The bullet is still lodged in his brain. I'll remove it once I transport the body back to the mortuary.
Anything else?
No personal effects of note, just a folded up piece of paper in his breast pocket. It's blank, so the police weren't interested. I assume you aren't either.
I want
Never
that.
assume, Edwards.
Give it to me.
I'll take it if you don't mind.
Yep.
Be my guest.
Ding.
Did the police manage to learn anything during their investigation?
Of course not.
Not much beyond what I've already told you. I think they were planning on speaking to the victim's wife, though.
Did you get the address?
I did, as a matter of fact. 1820 Kent Place.
Now we get to deal with the grieving widow. Hopefully the officers who delivered the news got the worst of it.
If she even cares.
Did you find an Easter lily anywhere?
An Easter lily?
You heard me.
Yes. The justice killer leaves one at every crime scene.
Is that right? I never noticed.
Neither did anyone else, apparently.
So how does leaving a lily at the scene of the crime figure into all of this?
I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think it might be important to understanding his motive.
Well, be sure to let me know if you do figure it out. The thought process of killers is a twisted, curious thing.
What's your take on this whole justice killer situation?
It's giving me a lot of extra work, let me tell you.
She probably likes
We
it.
haven't had a serial murderer in a long time. Not since that fellow who was poisoning people about 10 years ago.
Ah, yes. Gascon Ghoul. Now there was a case.
Any theories or insights regarding the killer's motive? or identity?
Gascon Ghoul.
That's not really my specialty. If you want to get into that psychology stuff, you're better off talking to someone like Snelling.
Really?
Edwards.
I don't
Do
want
you
to talk
notice
to
McDonough's
Snelling.
desk calendar?
I did. This month has been torn out. I asked the officers investigating the scene, and they had no idea what happened to it.
So it wasn't found in this room?
That's right. My theory is that the killer took it.
Which means there was probably something incriminating written on it. If only there was some way of knowing what it was.
Miles, have you forgotten the oldest trick in the book? Just find a pencil and you'll have that information in no time.
Duh. It's like in every detective game ever.
Edwards, do you have a pencil I might borrow?
Of course. Take this one.
Thank you.
Ding.
That's all for now, Edwards.
Thanks,
Good
Ed.
luck with your investigation.
A classic trick. Let's see if it works.
I don't see anything. He had a pretty light schedule. Where this shit ain't working. Oh, wait a minute. There's a couple.
Aha! McDonough met with this person the night of the murder. I'll bet 500 crowns it's a false name, but at least it's something.
10 p.m. Shockley. And Ruby the morning before.
Intriguing. We'll need to find out who this Ruby is.
So it's Friday morning, I guess?
It seems the killer didn't want anyone to know about this meeting with McDonough, and possibly not with Ruby either. It seems the No time to waste.
Alright, well, that's everything there. There's no Lily? That's strange. Let's go talk to the widow. And this is about where, as far as I got.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. Your butler just announced me.
Oh, of course. Forgive me. I was just, well, never mind.
I know your husband
Please
just
make
got
yourself
murdered.
comfortable, Mr. Fordham.
Thank you, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, let's start looking at all
Just a
your shit.
painting of some boring old aristocrat. I think I'll call this one Lord Edmund Henry Lickspittle the Elder.
Lickspittle.
They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worthless. I feel sorry for the sucker who has to clean them. They look expensive. This one looks like a Lady Camilla Prudence Wigglewaddle the Grey.
Wiggle waddle?
They look expensive, but I bet they're totally worth. Lord Alfred Edward Shufflebottom the Wise comes to mind when looking at this one.
Shuffle bottom?
Surely this one was called Lady Felicity Euphemia Beaversnatch the Simple.
Beaver snatch.
They look expensive, but I bet they're.
Is that everything? I think that's everything.
I appreciate you seeing me, Mrs. McDonough. I know you must be going through a difficult time right now.
What exactly is it you want from me, Mr. Fordham? I already spoke to the police about my husband's murder.
Yeah, but I'm not the
I just have a
police.
few questions of my own.
Oh, very well.
Let's be gentle.
How are you feeling, Mrs. McDonough?
My husband of 42 years was shot in his office. How do you think I feel?
Tactful as always, Fordham. How do you do it?
My apologies. Perhaps that wasn't the most appropriate question.
Heh.
Is there anything I can do to help?
You can start by finding the monster who murdered Percival.
Well, that's what we're here to do.
What can you tell me about your husband?
I'll tell you the same thing I told the police, Mr. Fordham. Percival was one of the hardest working members of Parliament. He took his job extremely seriously.
I hope so.
The recent election caused him a terrible amount of consternation, as I'm sure it did most people. He took Atwood's loss rather hard.
Did you see much of him?
I beg your pardon?
Surely someone with such an important position in government could find themselves consumed by their work.
Okay, so
Did he spend much time at home?
He was
made
an
it a
Atwood
point to come home
supporter.
and have dinner with me every night, even if he had to return to the office afterwards.
And did that happen often?
At least 3 or 4 times in a week, yes. He'd stay in his office working late into the night.
and that's why he had meetings
As
at 10
I said,
o'clock.
he was very dedicated to his role.
Sounds to me like she's quite dedicated to hers, too.
Did your husband have any enemies?
He was a politician, Mr. Fordham. Half the city hated him.
Did he ever receive any kind of threats against his life?
None that I was ever made aware of. I have no idea who could have killed him, let alone who could have gotten into his office to do it. He hadn't told me about any meetings or appointments this week either.
Was
is
it
that
his
normal?
custom to inform you of his
Yeah,
work
good
affairs?
question.
Oh, well, I've always taken an interest in my husband's work. He'd often mention initiatives he was working on or people he was meeting, that sort of thing. Nothing sensitive or confidential, you understand. Just conversation about his day.
Can you think of any reason why your husband would have been murdered?
Not really. He was a vocal opponent of the construction of the Gascogne-Chumley Bridge, but I hardly think that would have been sufficient reason to drive someone to murder.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, it's just a bridge, isn't it? There are plenty of other ways to get to Chumley.
I meant, why was he opposed to it?
Oh, because the amount of money required to build it is exorbitant. Public funds should be used on roads and buildings that are falling apart. What's the point of having something shiny and new if everything around it is in disrepair?
Okay. So he didn't want to build a bridge to Chumley.
Are you familiar with the art of cryptography, Mrs. McDonough?
What an odd question.
It's just I noticed several books on the subject in your husband's office.
Oh, well, yes. Percival was interested in cryptography and secret messages and the like. He would sometimes leave me coded notes when we first began courting many years ago.
Yeah.
What kind of notes?
What a nerd.
Oh, now, Mr. Fordham, those were private. But Percival got a thrill out of knowing I was the only one who could read them. Sometimes he would write them using a special ink that would only appear when the paper was heated. I can't remember the last time he did that, though.
All right, so good thing we looked at those books.
You know anyone named Shackley?
No, I've never heard that name before. Why?
I saw your husband had a meeting scheduled with him shortly before his murder.
That can't be right. He didn't tell me about that. He always told me about his meetings.
It was written on his office calendar, clear as day.
I don't
As
know about
said,
that.
I don't know who that person is. Why wouldn't Percival have told me about their meeting?
Why indeed?
Are you familiar with someone named Ruby?
I can't say I am. Who is it?
Just a name that's come up in my investigation.
Sounds like the name of a trollop. Or perhaps a dog.
Huh.
Have you heard of the Justice Killer?
That was the name the police mentioned when they told me about Percival's murder.
That's
It's
it?
absolutely terrifying to think that one sick person could be capable of such evil. Why is he called the Justice Killer? What justice was done by murdering my husband?
We're gonna find that
I'm
out.
afraid I can't answer that right now, Mrs. McDonough, but I intend to find out. Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr.
I'll be back.
Fordham.
If this actually works, I'll eat my hat.
Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel how I acted last night. I swore myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I have failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never let this monster out again.
Well, I'll be damned.
He's a fucking beater. Is that her name, Mary? Is it Mary Percival or Mary McDonough?
Can we talk some more, Mrs. McDonough?
I suppose so, yes.
Do you know anything about this letter?
I'm afraid I don't have my spectacles. What is it?
The coroner found it in your husband's pocket. He gave it to me because he thought it was blank. But after you told me about your husband's propensity for writing secret messages, I decided to try exposing the paper to heat.
Ah,
Allow
that's
me
right.
to read it to you. Dearest Mary, words cannot express the regret and sorrow I feel for how I acted last night. I swore to myself I would never harm you again after the last time, but I have failed us both. It is my deepest hope that you can forgive me and trust that I will never allow this monster out again.
He released a dragon, huh?
I see. May I have that letter, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I have to keep it for now. It's evidence.
I suppose that that does make sense.
So what? What's this? What's the tea?
Mrs. McDonough, did Percival mistreat or abuse you?
He wasn't a bad man, Mr. Fordham. I wouldn't have married him if he was.
Yeah, because you would have known.
It's just the stress of his responsibilities would sometimes oppress him. I would try and offer comfort, soothe his nerves. But there were a few instances where he lost control of his passions.
Yeah, is that what you're calling
He
it?
ever hit you?
He did.
How many times did this happen?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 2 or 3? You don't exactly count these things.
Sure you do.
What a bastard. Maybe it serves him right for getting shot.
Well, there's a
Thank
justice.
you for your candor, Mrs. McDonough.
Can we please talk about something else?
Those are all the questions I have for now, Mrs. McDonough.
All right, Mr. Fordham.
But how did the killer find out about that? Find the killer, find out who Ruby is. Occasionally find a rage and beat. That's not really, I don't know. We gotta figure out who Ruby is. But it's gonna have to wait till next time. I pray to God this worked like it was. We are hot on the case. So, like, blah, 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 blah. Drop a like if you haven't. Drop a sub if you're new. I am out.